Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday, February 22nd. Quite an active week. We have two separate low-pressure systems that will ride up through the eastern states. The second one will be the more important one, the stronger system, and that should produce some heavy rainfall in the I-95 corridor region between D.C., Philly, and New York City later Wednesday through Wednesday night into early Thursday. The first system arrives tomorrow. Light rain should break out in the morning hours in the I-95 corridor and then move into the Philadelphia, New York City midday or afternoon hours. There certainly is a chance that there'll be some wintry mix at the onset of this first system, the weaker system, late tonight, early tomorrow, especially in the far northern and western suburbs of the big cities. Not a major precipitation event, however, in this first system. Again, some light precipitation, most likely in the form of rain, breaks out on Tuesday, and there can be a wintry mix, especially in the far northern and western suburbs. Wednesday turns out to be increasingly windy and becoming much milder. Tomorrow will be a cold day with high temperatures not too far from the 40-degree mark, but by Wednesday afternoon we should reach the middle 50s with those increasing southeasterly winds and the heavy rainfall later Wednesday into Wednesday night and early Thursday. All of this activity over the next few days is really at the beginning of a cold stretch of weather, it appears, in the eastern U.S. from the latter part of February right into perhaps as late as the middle part of March. All the teleconnections are pointing to this cold stretch of weather, beginning with this storm system Wednesday night and Thursday. That storm pulls up to the west, but it ushers in colder air for the end of the week. And again, it looks like a pretty cold period, colder than normal, beginning later this week all the way into the middle part of March. One of the teleconnections we like to look at excuse me, is the Arctic Oscillation Index. And here we see the current value right here in black, just about at the neutral line right here. But notice the forecast showing up in red here, pretty much universally predicting a downtrend into negative territory. Arctic oscillation in the negative territory this time of the year usually spells colder than normal conditions, especially in the eastern U.S., usually indicates high latitude blocking. That's high pressure over places like northern Canada and Greenland, which in turn allows for the penetration of cold air into the eastern U.S. and the sustainability of that cold air once it reaches the U.S. For this particular teleconnection, the Arctic Oscillation Index, as well as many others, are pointing to a colder than normal stretch of weather beginning later this week and continuing right into the middle part of March. And it looks like it'll be quite active, stormy as well, with multiple opportunities for perhaps some more snow in the I-95 corridor. Well, let's take a quick look at the upper air pattern. This is a 500 millibar height anomaly forecast map from last night's European ensemble run for a Wednesday evening. Deep upper level trough here over the Ohio Valley, and this is indeed associated with that low pressure area, the second and stronger system. A well inland track, that storm system pulls up at the surface well to the west of the I-95 corridor. That allows for warmer air to come in off the ocean. High temperatures later Wednesday well up in the 50s, increasingly windy out of the southeast as that storm pulls up to the west. Notice this upper level low also over the western part of Hudson Bay. We pointed this out last week. Not your perfect scenario for having cold air sustained in the mid-Atlantic region. That's why we were not convinced of a snow situation for this week. And indeed, the second system will be the stronger one, pull up way to the west of the I-95 corridor, and then colder air will come in on the backside of this storm for the end of the week. Well, again, this is the forecast map for Wednesday evening, the 72-hour forecast from last night's 0Z ensemble run of the European model. Let's jump out 5 days, and this is the 5-day forecast. Just want to point out, notice the oranges up here, even some purple. Here we finally have some real, genuine high latitude blocking. Again, we go from this Wednesday evening to this 5 days from now, a big indication here of high latitude blocking. Again, that Arctic Oscillation Index that we looked at up front going into negative territory, showing this high latitude blocking. So the combination of high pressure over Greenland, northern Canada, a strong ridge over the western part of Canada and the U.S. spells colder pattern setting up for the eastern U.S. Again, this stormy activity over the next few days is really coming at the beginning, a transition to a colder than normal pattern from later this week, perhaps right into the middle part of March. Well, let's now get to the short-term forecast here. A cold frontal system passed through the region in the overnight hours. We do have a pretty cold high-pressure system sitting right over the northern part of the Great Lakes. That'll slowly move to the east over the next 24 hours or so. That cold front has pretty much stalled out over the southeastern U.S. and multiple low-pressure areas are forming along that frontal boundary zone. And again, this is a pretty cold air mass. The first wave of low pressure will start affecting the I-95 corridor very late tonight, more likely early tomorrow. Some light precipitation will break out across D.C. and then ultimately into Philadelphia and New York. And it could be cold enough at the onset for a wintry mix, especially in the far northern and western suburbs of the big cities. Again, this first system, Tuesday into Tuesday night, will be a weaker of the two. The heavier, the stronger storm will come Wednesday into early Thursday, and that should bring some heavy rain to the I-95 corridor from late Wednesday, especially Wednesday night, into early Thursday. Well, let's take a look at last night's Zero-Z GFS model run. We'll kind of walk through the forecast maps for both systems, the weaker one that comes tomorrow into tomorrow night, and the stronger one from later Wednesday into early Thursday. This is the forecast map. All of these maps, by the way, from tropicaltidbits.com. This is for tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. High pressure over northern New England. And notice cold air damming setting up here. And again, a little bit of blue showing up here in the extreme eastern part of West Virginia, western Virginia, Maryland. That's suggesting some snowfall at the onset. Here's the first system, the weaker system, and the second stronger system hanging back here in Texas as of tomorrow morning. Again, this is the 36-hour forecast from last night's Zero-Z model run of the GFS. Let's now jump ahead 6-hour increments. Light rain pushing into the southeastern part of Pennsylvania by early to mid-afternoon. Notice a little bit of blue here, a little bit of snow in northern New Jersey and the east central part of Pennsylvania. Again, there can be a wintry mix, especially in the northern and western suburbs at the onset associated with this weak system. Let's jump ahead another 6 hours here. By tomorrow night, that weaker system already starting to pull on out. Notice a much stronger looking system here down by the Gulf states as of tomorrow night. Let's keep walking through this. And notice here, this already starting to take the turn well inland. High pressure has left the area, and milder air is ready to pounce on the I-95 corridor. Here's the forecast map for Wednesday morning, and now we're at early afternoon Wednesday. Notice southerly winds and southeasterly winds starting to intensify here in the I-95 corridor. Let's jump ahead now. This is the forecast map for Wednesday evening. Way inland, this storm system, a 986, quite an impressive low pressure area here over Ohio. A stripe of heavy snow on the northwest flank of that storm, probably around Chicago to Detroit, in that region right there. And stronger, increasingly windy on Wednesday here in the D.C., Philly, New York City metro regions. That wind should come in off the ocean, a southeasterly wind. Let's now jump ahead another 6 hours. And this is the time period Wednesday night into the overnight hours into early Thursday, where there could be heavy rain right up and down the I-95 corridor. Heavy snow hanging back well to the north and west of the I-95 corridor, more like the Ohio Valley and into the Great Lakes area. Let's now jump ahead another 6 hours. And finally, this is the forecast map for Thursday morning. By this time, the heavy, steady rain should be pulling out of the Philly, New York City metro regions. Certainly can be some residual showers, rain showers on Thursday morning. It'll turn quite windy on Thursday and stays quite windy on Friday. And that colder air starts to wrap around into the system. We'll start cooling off late in the day on Thursday, and especially Thursday night and Friday. Certainly cannot rule out a snow shower or two associated with this influx of colder air. And this begins the pattern of a colder than the normal stretch of weather from late this week, perhaps right into the middle part of March. So a heavy rain event coming in the midweek, Wednesday night into early Thursday, and that follows a weaker system with some light rain and perhaps even a wintry mix, especially in the far northern and western suburbs from tomorrow into tomorrow night. Stay tuned for updates later today on VencoreWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.